They say cleanliness is next to godliness. You'll want to watch this interview, everybody. Who's got an awesome... Now, I do give my quick analysis, and if it doesn't look good, then I will tell them, hey, let's talk after the show. I've got some ideas for you. That's a nice way of saying it doesn't look so good.
Yeah.
Not the case here with Mark. His website looks dynamite. I got a couple little tweaks. One is like, hey, let's put he's got a great video on there. Let's put a full interview out there so people can really get to know the owner.
Right.
Because you've been doing this for a while, haven't you, Mark?
Yeah, since I started when I was 19 and be turning 70 soon, so that's 50 years. I'm tired.
A lot of people don't talk about their age, but if you're proud of it, my mom is too. And I'll even shout out my mom if you want me to. But she's 82. She celebrated 60 years teaching. Wow. 20 years in semi-retirement, but she started a foundation like that was almost a full-time job on its own. Still taught, raised over $2.5 million. If you want some help with that, call my mom. Now that money goes to the kids every year, and I'm very proud to have my mama that I get to brag about a little bit. But Cardinal Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning, the website. Now, air duct cleaning, that's become a much larger part of your business. It started off with just carpet cleaning, and then went to air duct cleaning as people got more air conditioning units. I guess you've been doing it so long, maybe people didn't have air ducts in their homes back 50 years ago.
Well,
but more and more they do now. I guess everybody does now.
Yeah, years ago everybody had, we probably all remember, everybody had carpet, wall-to-wall carpet, and it was ugly orange or ugly yellow. And
I have to put myself on camera. Guilty. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, but then when hardwood came back into play, all of a sudden the dust is now floating around in your home, and there has nowhere to light, so we're breathing it. And then air duct cleaning became a big part of our business. And indoor air pollution, I mean, our homes are like a DNA time capsule. Who's ever lived in your home before, their DNA, their dead skin cells, their hair, their dander is in your air ducts if you don't get it cleaned out.
Somebody told my cousin, actually, I had a great conversation with my cousin many years ago. He goes, you understand most of the dust that you're wiping off of your furniture inside your house isn't because they left the windows open. This isn't because they left the doors open. It's because of our skin sheds 7-layer, I don't know how much it is, but it's mostly all dead skin.
Right.
That's the way the body revitalizes itself, whatever. Right. And you get dead skin floating around all your house. Somebody else's DNA is another way to say that.
Yeah.
That's true.
And dust mite feces is a big contributor to what we think is dust. Dust mites are not big enough to be airborne, but their feces is, and they like warm, dry places like our air ducts. So when we clean them, we also sanitize them.
I learn a lot when I'm doing these interviews, everybody. I had no idea. That just makes me go, ew.
Yeah.
I better get my ducts clean. Like, get your ducks in a row and get your ducts cleaned, everybody. Right. Duct versus duck. Okay, you see what I'm saying there? But those ducts, yeah, they're in the houses. I was talking to somebody, my house is 20 years old now, and so the AC units are not performing at the optimum level, of course, because of Freon and all the other changes and the newest things and the ozone and whatever. But it's also like so I talked to somebody about we talked about the mini split units.
Right, yeah.
Because we might get one here in the studio, because it gets warm in the studio, and we turn the air conditioners on. We got portable air conditioners to keep this, and then you got mini split. But bottom line, you've got these most every home has these ducts in the house that was built since when? I guess since the 40s, 50s?
Oh, yeah.
When did we start putting ducts, D-U-C-T-S in our homes?
I don't know. So when we started, it was, 1975. But in the last 20 years or so, air duct cleaning has become, because a lot of, you hear a lot of kids that have asthma now and allergies and food allergies, and we didn't used to have that when we were growing up. So a lot of that is because the EPA says our air in our homes is 10 times more polluted than the air in major cities like New York. Because we don't open our homes up like we used to. We used to open the windows up, back in the 30s and 40s, let the old air out and the fresh air in. We make our homes airtight, so we're breathing the same air that we've been breathing for 10 years. Plus, it's got the last 2 families who lived there, it's got their DNA floating around in it. Which is, hope this doesn't air during dinner, because this is kind of gross, but
well,
it's
I just
true.
saw very controversial. I watch politics a fair amount. God love me for I like to torture myself. But there's a big lawsuit now with a company that it's public knowledge. 23andMe had a whole discussion about their stuff. I won't get into it any more than that. But the fact is, like, there's DNA has become something. Like, I just remember when in high school, I'm dating myself here now, everybody say, back when I was in high school, so back when I went to school, and I never think I would say that, but now I'm 53, so I gotta say that. We just figured out, they had just decrypted the DNA code, right?
Yeah.
The helix chip, whatever it is. And that wasn't my thing. But now, like, we understand it, like, that's being floating around. Like, the president has to use a bathroom that is always contained, so they can't get his DNA through the system that comes out, right? Yeah, from what I understand, whichever president, all of them have to do that now. But, I mean, wow, what if they went back to one of the old houses that he lived in 25 years ago, right? They could get the DNA off from there. Now, how do they decipher that? Are they really going to mess with that?
Right.
But the point is, you're dealing with a cleanliness issue and a health issue.
Yeah, really.
And a lot of people, talk to me more about that, because we're getting off my script here, but this is important.
Sure. It's amazing what we find in the ducts. So we have examination scopes, lighted examination scopes. When we go in there and we find, and again, it's kind of gross, but it's important to know what you're breathing in your home, because we find mice get in there. If you've ever had pet hamsters, they're escape artists. Hamsters get in there and then they pass away. And so we find their carcasses, and that's unhealthy. And they get in there and can't get out.
That's unhealthy, you think?
Yeah.
I mean, anybody has a dead body of any sort.
Sure. Yeah.
It's still based on some kind of a genetic, bacteria, all kinds of things you're running into.
Yeah. And then during early construction, sometimes the guys, as they're sweeping up the subfloor, instead of having a dustpan or making a dustpan out of a piece of cardboard, there's this nice square opening, and they look around and their boss isn't looking, so they'll sweep chunks of drywall or little sheets of plywood, or their lunch. We found a Chuck-a-Burger bag, and if you remember in St. Louis, Chuck-a-Burger over on Watson Road, we found a perfect Chuck-a-Burger with the world's hardest hamburger in it, in one of those vents.
Was it still edible?
I didn't try it.
Because they've got that, I won't talk about. They tested some companies' burgers were like good. Still 6 years later, I'm not sure what was going on there.
Yeah, but that impedes the airflow, so your system is running less efficient. So getting air ducts clean makes it much more efficient, because we get those obstructions out of there. And then we sanitize the system with a product called MediClean, which kills any allergens, mold, dust mites. And so and it also takes care of the DNA that we were talking about. And then the system's more efficient, and it's sanitary. It gets in there, it cleans the A coils and gets into the air mover, and then you're breathing nice, healthy, fresh air, and then it's just a much cleaner atmosphere. Like
it used to be when we all lived with the windows open.
Yeah. Oh, really? That's true.
Like it used to be when we had more airflow, until air conditioners kicked in, and so people said, I can keep it the cool temperature I want all the time. Yeah. And boy, when I was a kid, back in the day, the high schools shut down during the summer because it got really hot in a high school. So none of them had air conditioners at that point. When they were originally constructed, I went to Lutheran South, and I guess that first building, I don't recall them having air conditioners. Maybe this day they do. They've got a great renovation there. We did a whole walkthrough, everybody. We'll put that on our show at some point. But literally, like, it's the AC units that you have these days make a big difference, but they also can encapsulate a lot of that air, obviously, and that causes you breathing stuff in. Do you think that's part of the cause? Because they talk about our food allergens, what we eat. That's more important, because that's causing the things. But having nasty stuff you're breathing, that's like it's getting into your body through food, or it's getting into your body through the air. Right. I breathe a lot more than I eat.
I obviously do too. Right? Yeah.
But mostly.
Well, and that goes right along with carpet cleaning, because when I first started cleaning carpets, my first job when I started cleaning carpets, I was 19 years old, and I just came home from being married, lost my construction job, and so I had $400 from the wedding, and I bought a used carpet cleaning machine. And my first job was a $39 Oriental rug that was probably worth $10,000, but I charged $39 for it.
So you better make good on this.
Yeah.
Yeah. First introduction to the business world.
Yeah, but what I learned over the years, so back then, the ICRC wasn't around. That's the Institute for Carpet Restoration and Cleaning. And it
Okay.
teaches you how to clean rugs.
Take note of that one, the ICRC, everybody.
Yeah,
All right.
ICRC. And that's the institute that teaches you how to properly clean carpets.
Okay.
So 15 years down the road, I'm cleaning carpets, self-taught. My son joins the company, and he goes to an IICRC class. And he's sitting there, and he's thinking the whole time, Dad doesn't know what he's doing. Dad doesn't know what he's doing. So he comes home, and he goes, Pop, you need to go to one of these IICRC classes. And I'm like, you can't tell me. I've been doing this 15 years. So I go to one of the classes, and I'm sitting there, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. So I go to the class, and I learn how to clean for health. So when you properly clean carpets, it's tied in with the health aspects of cleaning air ducts. If a carpet's cleaned properly, you leave the carpet at the pH right at 7, which is neutral. There's no
Carpet has pH level,
carpet
too.
has pH level. You don't want to leave it too alkaline. You don't want to leave it too acidic. So when you properly clean carpets, you vacuum super thoroughly. You lay down an alkaline pre-spray. Then you steam clean it with an acidic rinse. And then the carpet has no residue. There's no residue left in the carpet, and it should dry within about 3 to 4 hours. But a lot of companies blast it with chemical and blast it with a lot of water, and it sometimes takes days for it to dry. And then you've got a whole nother problem.
Yeah, you're starting mildew and mold and all of that.
Yep.
That becomes a much bigger
Yep,
issue.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's just really cleaning for health aspect is something that it's one of the reasons, and I'm not trying to brag, but we're the highest rated carpet cleaning company as far as 375 star Google reviews, because we do a lot of things that other companies just don't want to take the time to do, that makes a difference as far as the health aspect of not leaving any chemical. It doesn't have a bunch of smells. Women don't like a lot of flowery odors. You know, we clean it, and it's just fresh and healthy and clean, and it dries quickly. And that's the ideal way to leave a carpet.
And the guys, we're not so particular about that, right? Yeah, it just smells pretty good to me.
Yeah, right.
Now I'm getting into, but this falls in the category of, write this one down, everybody. Cheap
Yes.
gets very expensive. I had no idea.
Actually, you need to give yourself a
Thank
pencil.
you. Good job, cowboy. But literally, I better put the hat on for that. All right, we're going to take a quick break here, but I want to make this point. Cheap gets very expensive, and I didn't realize how critical that is. Ultimately, then you're replacing your carpet a lot sooner than you should be.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a real expensive tab for most people.
Well, sure. Yeah.
And then you get into wood floors and the treatment for that. Let's go to a quick break, and we'll come back and talk about that after the break. All right, well, I wanted to talk about that a little bit is because Mark did mention his reviews. We're going to go back to that. Before I forget, though, how do you care and what are the impacts? Because carpet has literally gone by the wayside, if you will. My parents have an old house. Dad's in heaven, but we've taken that over now. My mom owns it. Big old Victorian house. Everything is wood floors, everywhere. Right. There's carpet they threw on top of wood floors, I think, a couple times. But then went through that whole transition we talked about where we have everybody went to carpet for many years, wall to wall, right? Shag, ugly, whatever. Tear that out because it was cool for 10 or 15 years, and now it's beat up anyway, so you got rid of it. Back to wood floors. How does that impact the way allergens are transferred and how the cleaning that is necessary for wood floors? I'm guessing you can tell me a lot about that too. If you missed the first part, tune back in, everybody.
Yeah, so we clean hardwood floors with a machine that's specifically designed to clean hardwood, even if it's a composite, even if it's not actually hardwood. It's called the Dirt Dragon. It kind of looks like a little Zamboni machine. It puts down a solution, gently scrubs the hardwood, and then has a squeegee, and it draws it back up. And then we follow right behind with a microfiber mop, and it dries within about 10 minutes. But one of the other things that happened is when all of a sudden people said, wow, we got rid of all our carpet, now we have hardwood, but we have all these dust bunnies floating around, and we're sneezing every morning. So then, area rugs. They're covering it back up with area rugs. So we've developed a way of cleaning area rugs on the hardwood. So we don't have to pick them up, we don't have to take them out, and we clean area rugs with a low moisture process that just cleans the fibers. It doesn't get the back damp. It doesn't touch the hardwood, and it dries in about an hour. So that was another thing that we had to develop on our own, to where we could keep your area rugs clean without affecting your hardwood. And that's become a big part of our business, because people they wanted comfort, so they wanted when they get up out of bed, they don't want to put their feet down on a cold wood floor. So area rug, my son Nick came up with a way of cleaning area rugs. It's just phenomenal. And some of these area rugs are more than I paid for my first house. I mean, these things are no joke. $30,000-$40,000 for some of these rugs. And you don't want to mess up a high-end area rug like that. So we know how to clean those.
Bonded, insured, all those things too.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But it's just really, it's been, I feel so lucky to be able to have worked with my children. Both sons have worked with me over the years, and I have two girls in the office, Hyla and Brittany, that I gotta just mention, because they're the front door to my business, and they do such a good job. They answer the phones, and my granddaughters work part-time for us, and it's just a nice thing. What is that adage? You give somebody a fish and you feed them for one meal, but you teach them how to fish and you feed them for life.
Yep.
And
I love that. That's one of the most valuable ones out there, I think.
Yeah, and I know every small St. Louis business, family business, feels the same way. As we get older, it's nice to leave behind a family business. And it's been really, it's been a long run. I started shining shoes when I was 9, and I've been working ever since, so I'm kind of tired. But it has been a good run, and I really feel lucky.
Well, I can tell some of the success you've had, obviously, is because you don't just, hey, what do we got to do to get the job done as a minimum level of expectation. You dig in, if we're saying that, into the dirty carpet, et cetera, but to literally understand the layers, the different chemicals, the different treatments, the different ways this is done, to actually completely resolve the issue, not just do one of these patch jobs where, I can clean your carpet for $29. I mean, I've seen these offers. Tell me if it's something you've seen, and how does this work? $29, we'll clean your carpet. Oh, and then what happens? They come in and they say, does that get in the door? And then they go, okay, let me sell the rest of it. And are they still offering an inferior product because you can't do it for that price unless you're cutting corners?
Yeah, that's the coupons are, you see these coupons where you can get 10 vents done for $89, or we'll do 4 rooms of carpet for $49. And especially those are, sometimes people will take advantage of senior citizens like those, because I see them sitting on their counters when I come in, and then I give them the bid, and they say, well, what about this? And I'll say, well, first thing, it can't be done for that. So what they're going to do, they're going to set up their equipment, okay, then get all set up. And then they're going to say, well, but this isn't a room, this is only half a room. This is actually 4 rooms. And it's actually going to be $400, not $89. So I'm sorry. And then they either have to ask them to leave, or they're going to pay that. And because they're older, they feel vulnerable. They don't want a confrontation.
Right.
And so I've had that happen so many times, and I feel so bad for the senior citizens, because it's a scam. You can't do it it's the old adage, you get what you pay for, and we all know that. But I've got caught up when I saw a car that was advertised. It was my dream car, and it was for $999, and you get there and it's a Volkswagen. It's not a Jaguar. It's just one of those things, you have to use common sense. But those. Thank goodness for Google, because Google reviews, they really tell you about that person. You can fool a few people with, if you got 7 5-star reviews, you can get 7 family members to put 7 reviews out there.
Right.
But when you have a lot of reviews, if you're a scammer, you're going to get revealed, and if you're legitimate, it's going to be put out there, and in that respect, it's really a good thing.
Well, I'm with you on that. I mean, there's so much that goes into our modern world. Technology is always changing the way you do things, but you still have to always provide that quality content. I deal with that in my world a little bit. Some people will say, oh, I can get a video done for whatever. I'm like, yeah, what cameras are they using? What microphones are they using? How long is this going to be, you know? And then you got to get into the process and how it is and how many people get involved with the whole process. And then the more people you've got involved, the higher the cost goes. But if you're running an efficient company like you have, clean cut, family working with you, you know who you're dealing with. You can talk to them in a way that you can't talk to the other employees potentially, but you know that you're going to get the job done. And that's why it is pretty valuable, I think, to have such a good relationship with your children. And even the grandchildren now are showing up on different things that you do too.
Thank you.
But they say keep it in the family because, especially when that comes to business, because now you're literally something that you can pass on, right? And it sounds like you're in a position to do that at some point here. Yeah. You're at the age where you might consider that, but you've worked very hard to put yourself in this position. Is that true?
It is. It's going to be theirs. I told them that, and it feels good to be able to pass that on to them. And they've earned it. They've all worked in the business to get it to this point, and I'm looking forward to not having to work 7 days a week and leave this to them.
Well, again, back to that quality over quantity. You want to have things done right, and when it comes down to any job, when you're talking about manual labor, things that have to be done, that's hard to substitute with anything that isn't. I mean, there's technology, and you can get a bigger, stronger vacuum. But if you're not even applying the right process, then it doesn't matter, right? Go rent your whatever thing if you want to do that, and you don't even realize what you're missing by going that route, I guess some people would say.
Yeah.
But get this done right. Depends on what you got going on, too. My mom, I has had the cleaners come over many times. I remember that because I would walk around afterwards, and there was all that liquid on the floor. So I guess that was water primarily, right? A little cleaning fluid in there maybe. Yeah. But it would dry over the next few hours. You're saying if it's going a couple of days, somebody did something wrong.
Yeah, that's not good.
Water we know brings mold. I've experienced that. Some of the properties that I've been fortunate to be helped with, and et cetera. But you don't want mold. That becomes a big problem. All right, we'll finish up the first half hour. Mark's going to stick around for another half. We're going to get this done just in time. I've got a couple things to work on. I know you got more to work on, but thank you for being flexible with a little bit of our scheduling. An initial interview, and then the Cardinals rescheduled their game because of a rainout. So I called Mark and said, I will completely miss this if I have to, but it's been part of what we do with the business. And he said, man, I get it. Yeah. That's what a good business person does, to help other small businesses. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll give you that shout out then up here on take a look at the wall, everybody. That's what he was talking about before. 370 reviews, everybody. And if you can manage to get 370 reviews, and I had to pick his brain a little bit here because I'm like, if you're going to get that many reviews, then how is it you got all 5-star reviews? Because it is impossible to get that many 5-star reviews unless you're doing. And you gave me a little trick of the trade. Can I share with that a little bit?
Sure.
With a little bit of that
Absolutely.
with people? But take a look here what I'm talking about, because hit the right button. Here we are. I'm not joking. 370, all 5s. I'm like, some people might say that's not possible. What's going on here? But Mark does what I've learned from other business owners that I've talked to, and I told them this approach, and I've said, hey, it's a matter of doing this effectively, because not everybody, it's impossible to make 100% of your clients happy 100% of the time, unless they're all going to have some kind of question, something that might have come up. And you told me that does come up, but you make sure and fix it. So that they might have, if you hadn't fixed it, they might have given you a less than 5-star review. But because you did address that, then you say, hey, now we've earned, will you still give us a review? And you've even got a little process where you kind of reward people even when everything wasn't right. That is so cool and so creative. I didn't realize that's another way to do things too. I won't share that one. That's kind of an inside trade secret. But it was a nice way to say thank you. And even if it wasn't perfect, hey, and then they still, they go, well, he gets a 5-star, or I guess the other turn of some people will say, then I'm not going to give you the bad review I was going to write, because you proved it wasn't your fault. It was in this case was a stain.
A permanent stain.
It was a permanent stain that they thought you missed, but it wasn't. But even they say, hey, don't worry about it. Here's a little reward for you just for being a client.
Yep.
Smart, everybody. This is why we talk to our experts about this. We've run over our time limit, so now I had a perfect show with no editing necessary, but I went over, so I'll have to edit. But we'll give Mark a little bonus here because he deserves it. And we appreciate you coming in here. Stay tuned for that second half an hour coming up here in just a couple minutes. We're going to kick on our AC in here a little bit, hopefully. Keep it cool in here, everybody. Stay tuned for more, everybody. Your little castle show. Giddy up.